Hey everyone, my name is Annika and I'm a mental skills coach. I have a master's degree in sports and exercise psychology, and as part of the Mental Health Awareness Month, which is coming to an end, and the Shamus Rugby Foundation Challenge My Best Rugby Memory, I was asked to answer 3 questions about mental health. So let's start with the first one. What is mental health? Mental health includes our social, our emotional, and our psychological well-being. So it basically defines how we think, how we feel, and how we act. When we have a mentally healthy person, they have the ability to learn, they have the ability to form positive relationships with others. They have the ability to feel and to express and to regulate positive and negative emotions. And they also have the ability to deal and to handle and to cope with stress, with anxiety. They know how to deal with the uncertain situation and how to problem solve. When we look at mental health, all of us, everyone, you, I, all of us, we have mental health. And that is basically the starting point. Through our life, we will face challenges and struggles with our mental health. Our mental well-being might be lower than it was before. But not every one of us will experience a mental illness. And that leads us to the second question that I'm going to answer for you. So what are the most common misconceptions about mental health? I think the first one, and most often heard, is you're either mentally ill or you're mentally healthy. So it is very black and white. It's either or. But that's not true. When we look at health in general, there's a huge range. We can be very healthy, of great health. We can be good, of good health. We can be okay, so-so. We can be of poor health, or we can be ill. And that's the same for mental health. There's a huge range, and we might go through phases where we develop a poor mental health or where we have poor mental health. But there are also times where we will go through times that we are very great, that we are doing fine. And so just know that for everyone this is different. Some people might struggle their whole life and suffer from reoccurring mental health problems. Others will go through a very dark and intense short time and then recover from it. And others may not even experience their whole life any mental health problems. The second big misconception that there's out there is that men don't suffer from mental illness. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Men, just like women, can develop poor mental health and can go through challenging times and face struggles or are overwhelmed. And when you look at many countries, there is actually often higher rates of suicides for men than there are for women. This often comes because men tend to not talk about their problems and then don't feel comfortable to get help. So know that gender does not influence your likeliness of developing or not developing a mental illness. Then there's the third misconception, which often goes together with the second one that I was talking about, which is that mental illness is a weakness. When we talk about mental health, there is no strong and weak. There are some people that will develop or will have mental health problems, which are caused by, and not limited to, our genes, our brain chemistry, about our life experiences. Have we had a traumatic experience? How is our life? Are we living in a very stressful environment? All of those factors will influence our mental health, and not if we are weak or if we are strong. People who have or who suffer from ill mental health are often incredibly strong, and before we notice what they're going through, they have already tried to cope with it for a very long period of time. So know to go and ask for help is never a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. And lastly, our fourth misconception, that mental illness is rare. Sadly, that is not true at all. This is why we have a month like this of Mental Health Awareness Month. That's why we have challenges like My Best Rugby Memory. If we have 4 people, one of them at least will suffer from poor mental health or go through mental illness. That is a huge number if we think about it. we can go through those phases at any time. It's not that when we are young we can't have mental health problems. Mental health problems can occur from our early childhood all the way through to old age when we are grannies. So just know that when you're going through a tough time and you feel like that you're struggling with your mental health, you're not alone. So now to our last question. What are the best coping mechanisms or ways to deal with challenges that affect our mental health? So what can we do to be having a good mental health? The most important thing that I suggest you is that you need to allow yourself to be sad. You need to allow yourself to be afraid of something, to be anxious, to worry. And that is okay. To grieve about a situation where we lost something, where something didn't go as planned. But what is important is that we don't stay in that situation. We don't drag onto it and dwell in our grief. We need to work on our resiliency, which basically means nothing else than learn how to bounce back. How do we get over those setbacks? How do we get through tough situations? So that's the first advice that I can give you. A second advice is that it is so important to value yourself. You need to value where you spend your time or with whom you spend your time with. With people that are positively influencing your mental health, you should increase the time. With people that are negatively influencing your mental health, you most likely should decrease the time you spend. The same with habits that you have. If we're having good, healthy habits, we should continue engaging in those. But it all goes back to valuing ourselves. And that leads me to my third advice, which is setting those boundaries. Nowadays, I think for many of us, social media, being on our phones, can be a huge impact on our mental health. When we are an athlete and we go abroad, it is great. I get a chance to finally connect with my friends, with my family, while I'm thousands of kilometers away. During a time of COVID-19, I still get the chance to connect and to be socially active. And that is good. This is important for our mental health. But as an athlete, I don't know if you have made these experiences, or just as a person, there are also negative things in the news that might overwhelm us and might make us anxious. Or on social media, people may talk about our performance, if we had a negative performance that day. And that has an impact on our mental health. So make sure that you're being wise about the use of your social media and set boundaries to it. My fourth advice is that you need to make sure that you take care of your body. This will have an impact on your mental health. So we need to eat well. We need to make sure that we sleep enough. We give our body the rest that it needs. And we also need to make sure that we're exercising. Now, if we're an athlete, that might not be the most difficult thing because you follow a regular training schedule. But now in times like this, where you might not be able to have the resources that you normally use for your training, or in times of injury, it is important to stay active and to find ways to do that and to keep your routines, to stay within a flow, to physically work out, because this will release so-called endorphins, which will help us to boost our moods and to be mentally better. My fifth advice that I have for you is in situations where it is very acute, like you're very anxious, you're overwhelmed. This can be before big matches, this can be before exams, a big interview, it can be taking the last penalty shot. There are many situations where we get overwhelmed. I don't know if you have heard about different forms of breathing exercises. Our breath, when we start controlling it and we slow it down, it will lower our flight and fight instinct, which basically means we will relax physically by focusing on our breath. So you can check online resources. There are many that you can use to find good breathing exercises that work. In situations where we are really, really overwhelmed, we can use so-called grounding exercises. There's a very easy and simple one that many people know about, which is the 5 things. So you basically take a quiet moment and think about 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can hear, 3 things that you can smell, 2 things that you can taste, and 1 thing that you can touch. By focusing on your senses, you're able to come back and to be present in the moment, to stop overthinking, to stop being overwhelmed, and to stop being anxious. So after you've done this, you've gone through those 5 things, 5 senses, you're going to then tell yourself that it's okay. I am present, I'm here in the moment, which will help you to overcome those feelings of anxiety in this situation. Then there's my 6th advice that you can, or one coping mechanism that you can use, because sometimes it doesn't work. Our thoughts still keep spinning and we think, what if? So those what ifs, what we need to do is you think about the best possible outcome and its probability. How likely is it to happen? And then you're going to think about the worst scenario case that could probably happen. And when you think about that, think about the probability, how likely this will be to happen. Now, when you have done that, you're going to think about all the resources you have or what you can do to then deal with this worst case scenario. If that should happen, which skills do you have? So if you're thinking about a big game and it's not going the way you have planned it to go, what do you have to change this, to turn this around? By thinking about things that we can do, that we actually can control, like our own performance, we feel like we give our body and our mind control over something. And that will help us to relax, to calm down, and to actually then do our best and to improve our mental health in that moment. And then together with my previous advice, the next one is that we also need to allow ourselves to be afraid. We need to think that not everything, and it is okay that not everything is under our control. But we need to decide, is that fear now something that will actually help us? You know that tingly feeling, this kind of the butterflies in your tummy before a big game? They actually help us to be sharp, to be on our point performance. Or is that actually a negative fear? By figuring that out, we can see fear and anxiety actually also as something positive, which then will have a more positive impact on our mental health. Another advice that I can give you, my advice number 8, is that sometimes we need to give our brain a break. We need to shift our focus from ourselves and our personal worries and anxieties and struggles to someone else. When we help others, we're actually giving our brain a break, and that is sometimes so needed. And by that, we're also doing something good for someone else. So think about who is there, some friends, teammates, your family, who is there that you can do something good for, that you can help, and that you can make their situation better. Number 9, find something that you enjoy doing. Things that you like to do and that don't require a lot of effort, that don't stress you when you think about it. This could be art projects, this could be music, this could be writing, this could be anything, any fun project. Find something to fix it up. Find anything you enjoy doing, which also again gives your brain a break, which shifts your focus from your worries, your struggles, to something positive, relaxing, that will help you boost your mental health. Lastly, to show gratitude. I know that is hard. Sometimes it is really difficult to find things that we are grateful for, that we are thankful for, something positive in all this mess. But try it out. Every night, you can tell this to somebody, you can write it down, message it, or just tell it to yourself. What are 3 things that you're grateful for on that day, in that mess that you're in? By practicing gratitude, you're focusing on the positives in life. And that is proven that when we focus and when we guide our thoughts towards positive things, it will have a positive effect on our mental health. So let's try to be positive even in those difficult times. Those are all my thoughts, my ideas. There's many more out there. There are many more professionals who can give you and help you when you're going through difficult times. But I want to know that you're not alone. When you're struggling, go and seek help. Those can be people you trust, that you can just simply share and talk to. There are professionals out there that offer online counseling. There also of course in person, if that's available to you. But know that every time you're going through a difficult time, that this is also okay. No one can be expected to be 100% okay all the time and ignore their problems. But those were some tips that I had for you, how to help you cope with those challenging times. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. I wish you all the best and take care.